Hey everyone, welcome back to White Glove Auto. This is Dan. Today we're going to be working on this 22 BMW 750i XDrive. We're going to be doing a full body paint protection film on it, and we'll probably start off over on the driver's side and maybe start with installing a couple of doors. First, we just need to do the usual, is doing some pre-gel up in all the cracks and crevices, try to get all the contaminants and everything flushed out of there. After that, we'll do this alcohol wipe down, and then we'll start our install. I spray it up in here. I like to do that a few minutes ahead of time, and I really let it set in there and soften up any of those contaminants to ensure that we get them out. I might even flush it out again. We'll see here. It's just important to get all that out of there so it doesn't come down into your panel. This is the tack solution we use for the install. And basically I'm just going around and checking all these wraparound edges, ensuring that they're clean. You're not allowed, you don't have any wiggle room down here because you don't have a wraparound edge. So when you lay this panel down in here, before you get down and squeegee this lower edge down, you just need to be ensured that it's actually flush up against this trim down here. So no margin for error there. Well, we got our paint protection film all weeded out over here on the glass board. Now it's just a matter of getting it transferred over here. I really focus initially on the alignment up here on top, and then working down from there. Paying really close attention to this top edge as well as the handle area down here. Be sure before I start squeegeeing this top edge down that I'm feeling good about where it's laying down around the handle here, so don't get caught there. That all looks like it's lining up really good. These XPEL patterns are generally outstanding. Got this top edge here where I want it, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to anchor it down up here on the top, and then I'll just start working my way down the panel here. Just checking for any unwanted gaps up here on this top edge. Just coming right down the body line here and getting it anchored down. Then I'll come back and just work my way directly on this top ledge right here. Once again, using these Fusion paddle squeegees, they're really, really nice once you get used to them. You obviously do everything you can to prevent, contamination from getting in your panel, but inevitably, something always wants to find its way in. You just gotta be real careful as you're doing the install to catch those things quickly so they can be addressed. It'll be a lot less problematic to address them sooner rather than later, obviously. The biggest thing is, is like I said, just alignment. I mean, that's probably the most important. Right behind it, and or possibly equally, is contamination. But they're both extremely critical in the install. Other things could potentially be, taken care of in regards to a mistake, as long as you're going about it in the right manner. But yeah, alignment and contamination, those are the two biggies, and it's downhill from there. Well, we've got the main door and around the handle, everything's all squeegeed out to the edges. Now it's just a matter of getting the gel out around these wraparound edges and getting those wrapped around and sealed down. And then we'll move on to the next door. Cuts around these bends right here, so this film will drop in when you wrap it around and not buckle up or fold up on you, create fingers like we call in the industry. So. Come back in with the tack solution here. I've already sprayed the gel out with some warm water. That's probably best practice. And then coming back with some tack solution, and then I'm going to try to wrap these guys around. And I've already done the cleaning, pre-cleaning for the wraparound edges to be sure there's nothing back there that's gonna stick to my adhesive here, except for the panel itself. Yeah, when you do a wraparound like this, the edge is hidden on the back side of the panel, so Yeah, there's nothing, no edge exposed there. So, which is what you want whenever you can do that. That's obviously, you know, how you want to go about it. Of course, this is, I mean, we're using we always use XPEL paint protection film, but more specifically, I'd say 80% of our installs, 85% of our installs are done with the 10 mil film versus the 8 mil film, which kind of sets us apart from most because it's a lot more difficult to install that thicker film, especially when you're going across, I mean, stretching's involved and wraparounds and whatnot. So we use the thickest film that they offer to provide, you know, the most protection. But it does increase the difficulty of the install, but it also provides 25% more, you know, protection, you know, for the customer. And we're always just, you know, we're mostly concerned about, you know, the best that we can give, you know, the customer to protect their vehicles. So this wraparound edge here that I'm doing on this inside, it's kind of buttoned up. There's a door sill right in here next to it. So I've either got to cut this short and basically, you know, not do the wraparound, or commit and go up underneath this sill back here, which is what I'm going to try to do. It's just really about getting the right length for your wraparound. On these, I extended the edges about 1/3 of an inch, and I think that's going to work out pretty good for me. We're about to find out. All right, so we've just finished wrapping the edges around on this door back here. I know I'm a little biased, but it looks amazing. Some of you may be wondering, actually, because you see it up here on the lift, you know, obviously I had an opportunity to, as I was coming down the panel and work on this lower edge to raise it up, but I've got counterparts working on this installing alongside me. So we're trying to, you know, balance it out here as far as the height of the vehicle goes, so everyone can, you know, do some installing and not be too difficult on them. We'll be moving on to the front door, and I can see right away what's really nice about this front door is the placement of the mirror. It's actually off of the panel, so we don't have to go around the mirror there. So it's going to be pretty much identical to the rear door, which is great. I like this is easy. I consider this a very easy install here. Same thing here. We've already done, actually I've gelled it twice and flushed it out now 2 times. Now I just got to go back. I'm going to scour over the panel. We'll alcohol it down, ensuring that we use a light and go over it, you know, thoroughly. Be sure there's no imperfections or anything that were missed during the prep process, as well as get the wraparound edges all checked and cleaned if needed, and then we'll be fully ready to start this install. We're going to spray everything, you know, it gets weeded out on the glass, gets sprayed down on the glass, and it's all about contamination, reducing the potential for contamination in your installs. That's probably the best, you know, practice to use to make that happen. And obviously, you know, the air and stuff, air quality in your shop is important as well. And you know, we just try to keep it really clean in here. The floor's really clean. The doors, you know, shut, only open when need be. Keep that circulation down to a minimum. And you know, all that, you know, combined really helps the overall quality of our installs. Obviously, it's also important that your hands are extremely clean when you're doing these installs. You see, I'm actually touching the adhesive side as I'm doing this process here. But you know, a good tip, like first thing in the morning before I start installing, what I'll do is the leftover paint protection film in the weeding process, the excess is basically getting thrown away, is I'll take it and I'll actually press the adhesive side up against my fingertips and really grab those contaminants, the dirt, dry skin or whatnot, and it really helps clean out and clean off your fingertips in addition to washing them. That's a really good technique that I've used for a long time, just to ensure, because it's usually first thing in the morning, you know, when you start the installs, that you're going to have more issues in that regard. So that's something that's helped me out quite a bit. And on that note, you could also, as probably recommended by many, would be to just put you on some latex gloves. You can also do that, but if you don't If you don't like wearing the gloves, then yeah, then obviously you just need to be responsible for ensuring that your hands are really clean. We're gonna go, I'm gonna hit the wraparounds here. Once again, I mean, these should already be cleaned in our prep process. So the folks that are working on this, getting this prepared for us, all this should be done, but it's just a double check. You'll see a lot of that throughout our processes, double and triple checks, just to ensure nothing's missed. We don't want to have any more mishaps than necessary or needed. And once again, it's the same as the rear door. There's not going to be a wraparound on the bottom because of the lower door trim, so it's literally just this edge right here is the only edge that's going to get wrapped around. I do have separate rags, that I use as well. I'm sure you've probably noticed. This gray one right here, this is primarily my alcohol rag. This is my finishing rag that I'll use to do my final wipe and check. I was using a different towel when I'm doing something like wraparound edges, potentially where it's going to pick up, more dirt and whatnot. And then of course I've got, my drying towel, which you've seen me use too, which is what that is, just to go over it when it's really wet and saturated to get all that moisture and whatnot off of there.
All right guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and tackle this fender real quick. I have a pre-sprayed gel in all the problem areas where contaminants might be pulling out the edges and things like that. So we're just going to let the gel do its thing, and then I'll do a quick rinse and we'll go ahead and slap the panel on. Let's do it. So I got that pre-spray, did its job and everything, so now I'm just rinsing it out and making sure that all the contaminants have fallen down away from the panel. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and spray it with gel, and we're gonna slap a piece on. All right, we got this piece all weeded out, ready to go, and I'm just gonna go ahead and carry it over. So number one over everything is the importance of a good lineup. And so what I like to do is, if there's things inside the panel, like for example like this, there's a trim piece right here. I normally start in that area so I can get that all good to go. And then on fenders, I like to get this front edge all lined up, and then I'll work out, because a lot of times there's stretch that you have to pull this out and pull to this point. So if you can get this locked in and you'll stretch out, then it kind of just works in like a perfect step-by-step order. I'm just gonna get a little bit of a stretch up to this top area right here to line up these corners. And once that's good to go, I'm just gonna lock this outer edge here in. There's just a little bit of a pre-tack. I wanna get that out so that we don't have any silvering right there. So basically, whenever the PPF is tacked down in one spot before, like prematurely basically, so then whenever you squeegee over it, you're squeegeeing over a area that's already pre-tacked, and it disturbs the glue and it causes what's called silvering, and it's just a hazy little cloud. It's just a blemish that you don't want there. And so we do everything we can to make sure that we pay attention to pre-tack and things like that. What's up guys? So it's day 2 on the PPF BMW over here. We got the whole PPF team chipping away at this thing. We got a lot knocked out yesterday, but we got a lot to do. So we're gonna do, I think, the hood today, and then we're just gonna see where that takes us. Some of the difficult parts of the hood, this piece is gonna be done in bulk. So basically, that means it's not a pre-cut piece. It's a little easier if we just lay it in bulk, we get the stretch where we want it to, and then the difficult thing for that is you have to go and hand cut each little relief for the edge so that the PPF can fold behind there. So you gotta be really careful to cut the right depth, not cut the paint, and just make those cuts look really nice and clean. So that's something we're gonna have to take our time with and really make sure that it looks top notch. So the reason we like to do bulk with hoods lately is because sometimes the templates, it accounts for stretch in like a really difficult way. And sometimes we're sitting there fighting with it. You could add contaminants and stuff like that whenever you're sitting there lifting and shifting it and things like that. So it cuts down on time, and it just helps us get a cleaner finish if we just go ahead and do that bulk install.
Just gonna get this big old massive sheet here of PPF spray down for this BMW hood here. The hood itself, the dimensions of it exceed the 60-inch roll, so we've got to use 72-inch roll to get it in one piece. If you use the 60-inch roll, it would cut the back corners of the hood off and you'd have to see them in pieces. And there is a kit pattern cut for that, but obviously we're not big fans of that seam, especially on the hood. So we're gonna one piece it, but we just, like I said, have to use a 72-inch roll to get it done. We got this 72-inch wide bulk piece set up here on this hood. So now we're just doing a little bit of initial kind of stretch, getting a little bit of tension on it. Just trying to understand how much to put on there without doing too much. Checking for pre-tack as we go here. Any pre-tack's bad, obviously. Let's see here. Got a little bit up here on the top. Yeah, kind of right down in here, you'll see where basically the film is kind of starting to wrinkle up. There in the middle of your panel. From that's just from this initial stretch that I'm putting on it right now, but it's pretty pre-tack is pretty visible. You just don't want to squeegee over the top of it. That'll cause some adhesive marks that you don't want. So I've got a fair amount of stretch in here that will aid to the ease of squeegeeing this out. I'm just gonna kind of focus here in the center of the hood, and then we'll work on the sides afterwards. But sorry, John. All right, I'm gonna come in here and knock out some of this air. Air is not your friend between the PPF and the panel. It can, cause dry marks, especially when you're trying to get that out of there and it comes back into your work area. 4-inch squeegee here. Yeah, they've got bigger ones. I've got a 6-inch too, but 4-inch would be sufficient. Just spraying the excess gel off the hood so we can kind of wipe it down and take a closer look at it and make sure there's nothing going on that we don't want before we continue on to wrap the edges and invest all of our time into that. I've got all the edges kind of seated down. Now I'm going to work around this hood emblem here and get this laid down around it. We got it trimmed out here around the badge. It's all nice, seated up in there nice and tight, so you're not able to see an edge just like we want. And now it's going to be just the edges that we need to work on. And I need to come in here and just do some hand cutting and notching out around these points right here. And basically, you're going, aesthetically, just try to make it look like it was pattern cut, around all those points. So you just need to have a nice steady hand, and that's what we're going to knock out here next. Taper down here on the points as far as the moldings underneath the hood, so you gotta be a little bit short here when you get to those points right there. That's why they're kind of tapered in. I'm actually just starting to wrap the edges down here, and then I'll do any additional trimming that I need to, just to ensure that there's no overhanging edges, because that will be problematic down the road.
All right, guys, so we got this BMW all buttoned up. We're just tightening up some loose ends and, you know, should be good to go. Got everything knocked out. If you stuck around this long, be sure to subscribe, like the video, because we got tons more content coming. It's only up from here.